Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Armin and you should subscribe because you love books, I love books, let's talk about them. As you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be participating in the O.W.L.s Magical Readathon this year, and I'm super excited because this is my first time ever doing the O.W.L.s Readathon, but even more special, it's my first readathon ever, so I'm super excited. If you don't know what the Magical Readathon is, I have linked the announcement video down below if you want a more in-depth discussion of it, or if you want to participate, that has all the instructions. But basically, the O.W.L.s Readathon is a Hogwarts universe-themed readathon where you choose a career based on the guidebook, and each career has a list of owls, or the Hogwarts exams, that correspond to a prompt for a book you have to read. So the career that I've chosen for this month is Trader of Magical Tomes. Not only did this one just sound appealing to me, but it was also one of the shorter ones. It has only 4 owls, and some of them had like 6 or 8, and I didn't think that I could really commit to reading that many books this month with school and all kinds of stuff going on, so I chose one of the shorter ones, but it's fine, we're still gonna read, it's okay. So the first owl I have to do is Ancient Runes, and this one says that I have to read a book with a heart on the cover or in the title. I only had one book in my bookshelf that fit this category. So this month I'm going to be reading Girls Like Me. I picked this book up at a local recycled library bookstore almost over a year ago actually, and I just never read it because it didn't sound appealing to me, but since it is the only one that fits this prompt, I guess I'm gonna read it this month. Girls Like Me follows 15-year-old Shay as she copes with the death of her father and her feelings about being overweight, bullying at school, and insecurity and all kinds of high school stuff, and then she ends up falling in love with a guy online, and because of her insecurity she doesn't want to tell him, but with the help of her friends she starts to get over her insecurity and maybe something happens. What is interesting about this book though is it is written in poetic form, and I actually have not read any poetry books aside from maybe a couple short ones for school, and even then not all the way through, and this one is a little bit longer than that, so I'm excited to see if it's good or not. If you've already read it, let me know. So the second owl I have to do is Charms, and this one I was actually excited about because I had to pick a book with a white cover, and for this one I chose Maid by Stephanie Land. Maid has actually been on my TBR list for a really long time, I just have not gotten the chance to read it, so I'm actually pretty excited to read this one. Maid is a memoir by Stephanie Land, and it talks about a lot of heavy topics. She was a single mother who worked as a housemaid, and she still got through college, became a writer, and a bunch of other stuff, and it sounds really good, and a memoir will probably be a bit of a change of pace. I've been reading exclusively fantasy since I started binging The Infernal Devices and then read Chain of Gold, so this will be a little different than what I'm used to reading recently. So the third owl I have to do for Trader of Magical Tomes is History of Magic. This one is exciting because it is a book that features witches or wizards, and as you can expect, it was much easier to find a book on my shelf that fit this prompt and much harder to choose a book because so many of my TBR books have witches or wizards, and so I was like, which one should I read? Which one is it? Which one will it be? I ended up settling on The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. I didn't even know what this book was about when I first picked it up, but the cover was just so pretty that I was like, I need this book. So The Rules of Magic follows 3 magical children living in 1960s New York City, and their mother has basically set a bunch of rules for them to follow as witches and wizards, and of course they don't follow any of them because you gotta be rebellious or you don't have a story. So I'm not gonna read you like the full synopsis, but basically I'm really excited to read this book because not only is the cover pretty, but the description sounds amazing, and I love fantasy, especially like fantasy set in real world is super cool because I like the interplay of real life stuff and then fantasy stuff, and it's not always in a completely made up world, it's in our world, so it's nice to imagine for a little bit that there is magic around us, I guess. So the final owl I have to do for this is Transfiguration, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a book featuring shapeshifting. This one was a little harder for me to find. I almost chose Life of Pi because I think you could consider that shapeshifting, but then I looked at my pile and I was like, I don't know if that might be a little too long to add to this list, so I decided to choose a shorter one. I've got The Beast Within. I think this is one of those Disney villain point of view books, and I'm really excited to read it because yes, it's short, but I really love the story of Beauty and the Beast, and I'm excited to hear it from the Beast's perspective because you always hear it from the princess, you always hear it from the queen, you never hear it from the villain. And I also have the Disney villains Maleficent, and I really enjoyed reading this one because it gave a whole new look at the familiar story, and I honestly liked this a lot more than Sleeping Beauty just because it had a lot more drama, I guess. But yeah, I really love hearing stories from different perspectives than what you would normally expect, and I know with Maleficent, like, we had a movie about it, so it was kind of more mainstream, but with The Beast, like, you don't have a movie from the Beast's perspective, you just have it from Belle, and I really love Belle, but long story short, I'm excited to read this book. So yeah, these are the 4 books I'm going to be reading for the O.W.L.s Magical Readathon, and I will sum them all up in my April wrap-up. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and let me know down below if you've already read any of these books. What did you think of them? What do you think I'm gonna think of them? And of course, subscribe so you know when I finish these books and eventually post a wrap-up where I talk about all of them. I hope you enjoy. Bye.